Pablo.
Good morning, Mr. Paul Reed Smith.
How you doing, Paul?
Is it story time?
Make me get dressed up in my own house.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
How you doing, Paul?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's up?
How are you, man? Are you okay?
And that is a ridiculous piece of wood.
Hey, what's happening, man?
How are you?
I'm great.
I'm honored to have you on.
Oh, the honor is mine, totally. Look at that gear behind you, man. Let's go.
You want to know what it is? You want me to tell you what's in the rack?
I might not understand what you're talking about, but yeah, absolutely.
I think you will, actually. You've never been in a recording studio before, right? Wrong.
Yeah, I've been to your recording studio.
Sweet.
Yeah.
No, so in 2009, most of that rack I emptied to pay my bills because but I've refilled it. So there's a bunch of old things in there.
Yeah.
The LA2As, but there's a old Motown kind of EQ in there. I've got Magic Death Eye kind of Fairchild 660 in there. There's a bunch of RCA mic pre's.
Nice.
I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff in there. That Gates on top sounds just like Led Zeppelin when you plug it in.
Is that right?
The problem with gear is it promises that your stuff will sound better, and most of the time it's not true. But once in a while, oh my God.
It tends to be the more expensive items, Well, I don't know. That's not true either, because I've gotten gear that very expensive and thought, oh, this is going to be the game changer, and it's not,
Yeah.
Or I'm not using it properly, one or the other. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. These conversations are to try to dig out things out of you and me that people would normally hear,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm going to be investigative if you can be as well. Make me uncomfortable. I like that. But we're asking everybody one question, just kind of tie everything together. And so if you look around the room you're in, what's the most interesting thing in the room that you're in right now?
The most interesting thing in the room I'm at right now is a picture I have of Eddie Van Halen and myself. I met him. I had the honor of meeting him years ago while he was on the Sammy Hagar reunion Van Halen tour. Silver Tie was out there with him. So that is a picture that I've had forever. And unfortunately, we've recently lost him. But it's always been there. It's been this beacon picture and just an incredible inspiration. And I remember the night like it was yesterday and just kind of replaying it. So that's usually the most important item that I kind of look to all the time. It's just kind of, it's inspirational.
That's cool.
Would you like to see it?
Oh, you kidding? Yeah. Would I like to see it? Of course I'd like to see it.
There you go. Well, there's a little reflection going on. But
there you go. Which is perfect.
Yeah, so he was great, a very gracious gentleman.
I thought he was a gifted guitar player. I saw them at their height.
Yeah.
And I was showing guitars backstage at about 1:00, and all the road crew came to me and said, Paul, we got one hell of a guitar player in this band. They were excited to hear him play. They wanted to hear it. And the crowd went berserk that they were on the stage. And I remember David Lee Roth just looking at the audience going, I've never heard. They were just howling for, 4 minutes, wouldn't shut up. They couldn't play. The crowd was making such a noise, the band couldn't play.
Yeah, that's electric.
It was cool. I know what it feels like to pop. And what I mean by that is you walk out on the stage and you almost kind of pop into the whole audience. It's like you're in the whole thing, right? And that was the first time it happened to me. I was like, whoa, what was that? I didn't expect that to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that rock stars, and one of the reasons they do all these drugs is they want to feel like that all the time after they've experienced it once, right? But that aside, what's your experience of the feeling of being a musician that you just adore?
Man, there's so much. My father always, he always talked about the pop you're talking about, that connection it is very much a high. It's an endorphin. It's an incredible experience. One thing that I always there's so many different things about getting on the stage. I like the nerves. I like the insecurities. I like getting on there. Am I going to be able to play this right? Am I going to be able to pull this show off? Is this going to be entertaining? And then getting out there and all those doubts, and then seeing the reaction, seeing the response be better than you thought it was, and melting all that away. You're like, oh man. And then every night reliving that fear. Is this going to be a bomb show? This is going to be and then just winning those little battles, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. The problem for me watching from the distance is these people came to party. Yeah. And you guys are the center of the party. They go home and rest the next day. You do it again. I mean, it's exhausting. It's got to be absolutely exhausting. And there's a rock star I know that will not do before show things and will not do interviews because he's saving it all up to play. Because if he does it ahead of the show, he's a dead man.
Yeah, I can relate. If you can pull that off in today's society, it's so hard with the VIPs and all those different things that happen now. But man, it's exhausting. It takes a lot out. If you're an introvert like me, it's very difficult, But it's taking the stage is so much energy, and so it takes so much to get your mind right every night, like you're talking about. It's a Friday night every night for them. Some nights we got stuff going home. We don't feel great. I've tried my best over the years to just make sure that I feel better on stage so I don't have that written all over me, the fatigue, the mental exhaustion, because I don't want people to see that. I want them to feel energy, because they're giving it to me.
They're giving it to you. They did an interview with Hendrix and they said, what's the number one emotion in your band? He said, anger. They were mad. They were working them too hard.
Wow.
They were working them hard.
Oh, yeah.
They were working them hard. And we're talking about before, there were road cases, before it was all kinds of stuff,
Yeah. It's like almost like they knew he wasn't going to be around long,
They wanted to make their money or something.
Yeah.
How much do you tour?
Pre-COVID, we actually have been talking about scaling it down a little bit, but we have always been a band that does a year and a half the basic touring cycle that most bands do. We have also been known as the band that tours the most, the James Brown of the metal rock world. We've worked the early years. It was all year long. I mean, every year, every cycle, continual touring. That's just all we knew. But over the last 5 years, we've kind of trimmed it back, and we want to have more impact in the presence of the band. We don't want to just be available for every single tour, and plus we're middle-aged men at this point. We have children, we have that. So again, we want to keep the zest, we want to keep the enthusiasm on the deck. And by doing that, the best way to do that is just to keep the touring limited. Don't not 50 shows a year, more than that, but just somewhere in the middle where you can do great, smart shows, smart touring, and just kind of make it more impactful.
Do you find the writing for those tours laborious, or do you find them joyful? I mean, having to pack that job in on top of it. What do you think?
Oh man, the writing is the gift of all of this. For me, I would rather be in a studio writing music, composing it, putting it together. That's where my heart is. I could do that 24/7. So the road, as great as it is, it does take away from the best part of the process to me is the writing and recording.
So somebody recently told me a recording studio is a place where musicians do surgery on their music.
Makes a lot of sense.
I thought I like that. When I built this place, the whole idea was to give the musicians a free place where they could capture their music. I see a recording studio as a place to capture the music that's in the minds of these musicians,
Mm-hmm.
But, my problem was that every time I got out of a studio, what was coming out of the speakers in the control room was not what I heard when I went home. And it was very upsetting to me. And so I built a place that when you take the CD or the tape or whatever, the file, whatever out of here, it sounds exactly the same no matter what speakers you have it on. And that feels better to me. Do you have your own recording studio? How does this work for you?
I have my little makeshift studio here at the house. I have just basic studio monitors. I have basic rig just to kind of write songs in more of a creative station.
Right.
No legitimate studio by any real standard, but
right.
For me, you know, in today's technology, the software, there's a lot you can do with minimal gear. So I got lots of plugins, lots of different things like that. But ultimately, my studio is just a creative station at home. If you can see it from, if I could change it, I'd show it.
You go to a big format studio when you all record?
Yeah. There's a lot that we do. I mean, we've done the last few records with Elvis that's done us and Alter Bridge and a few others, a lot of others. I like to leave it in the hands of a professional, someone that can take it sonically to a place I absolutely have no business trying to do myself. Right. Because I think the music deserves it. And you were talking about the atmosphere and trying to capture and do surgery. That's where the producer comes in and kind of really is able to do things so we can stay creative, we can stay in that process, and he can worry about the sonics.
I'm sorry to ask, but a lot of the people that are watching aren't going to have a chance to talk to somebody who has as much road time as you do and as much in front of large crowds as you do. So what's the one thing that would be a very unexpected thing that you could share with everybody that would be a good story? I revel in walking around trade shows with rock stars and asking them, what's the one thing that you saw that nobody could deal with, you know?
Oh man. I mean, I've been touring since 1989 and I've been in bars, stadiums, arenas, every level and tier. And all of those have unique experiences and unique energy to them. I've seen the hugest bar fights you could ever see. I've seen people in wheelchairs crowd surfing. I've seen proposals, wedding proposals. I've seen serious injuries. I've seen a collective energy like no other, you know, watching an entire mass group of people singing on the same level and have the same energy and all of those things. I mean, there's not one in particular thing that just kind of comes out. Every time I've been asked that question, what's the most memorable, you know, thing that's happened? And to be honest with you, it's hard, man. There's so many things.
They asked me the other day if I had an alien and I wanted to teach him about music, what would you do? And I basically said, well, first thing I'd want to know if their sensory organs could pick up our hearing range. I would want to know if their eyes could pick up our light range. You know, we have a very limited band of hearing that, you know, we don't hear ultrasound and we don't hear subsonic, and we have very limited light range. We don't see the microwave when the light comes out of it, you know. And well, first of all there, and then I want to stick them in a crowd at a concert where the crowd is undulating in their own way, so that, you know, that thing where the whole crowd kind of moves like a bird flock, and the feeling of that. I've seen it at Tipitina's in New Orleans. The whole place starts to come unglued and they start losing control of their bodies as one unit, which I'm sure you've seen, right?
Yeah.
So I got in the middle of one of those once, and it got a little ugly with my family, and my son was a big man. He's strong like you are. And he dragged us out, literally my whole family dragged us right out of the middle of the thing was getting ugly in the middle.
Yeah.
I thought I was strong. He literally dragged the whole family right out of it. I'm sure you've seen some things in your day.
I thought that was so interesting, just to touch on what you would ask, the things that you would ask first. That's such an intelligent way to look at it, because you assume, you know, alien species is going to come and be able to have the same traits and characteristics. Like, that's a great question, because you're going to hear subs and highs and mids and frequencies totally different. I think that was just great. I love that response.
So are we here from 30 cycles to 20K?
Yeah.
Dogs hear a lot higher.
Yeah.
Animals on this planet that hear bats hear way higher.
Yeah, it could be a
You know,
completely
the
different
wolves hear
experience.
way lower.
That's great, though.
The elephants can hear each other 10 miles away from the subsonics. Those ears are for picking up low bass notes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a physics background, so I'm, you know.
I love it. No, I'm fascinated by that stuff.
I'm a gear slut, you know. I like the promise of good gear. So,
Oh,
do you
man.
have any questions for me? Before you start, I felt like when you and I were leaning on the side of the stage at the experience, watching these musicians come on and off the stage, that I knew better who you were than any other moment, because you were just a fundamental musician wanting to absorb what these extraordinary people were playing on the stage. And
Oh,
you and I
man.
sitting there, we were fans, and we just
Yeah.
wanted to feel what was going on. I enjoyed that with you, but you have questions for me?
Yes, I do. I do remember that night. We were watching Mother's Finest and Mo was throwing it down. The funk was deep. I loved that. It was such a great experience. But yeah, I do. And I've like tortured myself over these questions. I got like 5 different ones, but I wanted to kind of get into it and feel
Ask
the
them
energy.
all. Ask them all.
Oh, man.
Comfortable.
All right, just start off very simple. Probably come to you pretty quick, but who has the best vibrato on the planet?
Jeff Beck, because he's got 10 of them.
Oh.
Jeff Beck, because he's got the wiggle arm one, he's got the hand one, he's got the fast one, he's got the slow one, he's got the light one, he's got the deep one, he's got the emotional one. Jeff can hit a harmonic and then play the arm as the changing of the note, not a slide, and then he can be doing it with his hands and his. It's out of bounds. But I don't know. You're asking a very tough question. What about Derek Truck's slide vibrato when he's on? What about Hendrix's vibrato, which nobody's really been able to cop right?
Right.
What about Eric Johnson when he's on? What about, I mean, I could just start naming people over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Carlos Santana has a ridiculous vibrato, but it's a little faster than people think. And he can slow it down. He changes speed. It depends on who it is, but Beck's, the water's so deep with Beck, it's an ocean. Right?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I've marveled at Jeff Beck over the years, and just his discography, all of it is so wide that every bit, he has so much ability to transition into styles. It's just such a chameleon player. It's beyond. I love Jeff Beck. He's incredible.
I'm not so sure. I like when I'm standing on the side of the stage like you and I were that day, and somebody reaches out and just, touches your heart. That night I think Bosco was playing at a very high level. I don't remember all the people that we watched, but we were standing next to Wizard that night when Mother's Finest played.
That's right.
And he was killing it.
Oh, he always has. You've been a huge fan of him for years. All of them. Atlanta, we were close to them. So I'm going to ask you this. How do you think social media platforms affect the new guitar players of today? Pros and cons.
I think it's beautiful and not beautiful at the same time. So let me explain. The social media, let's just take YouTube. You can watch anybody. You can go learn in YouTube how to play a tune that you would have spent months trying to figure out how to find the record or, whatever it was. Now they'll even tell you what the chords are and what key it was in and what all the words are. And, you don't have to figure out, did they say, admire, or admissive or something? It's all written out. So it stops people from doing their homework as much, but it gives them a place to do way more homework. On the other side of it, what disappoints me is that very often the young people don't do the homework that the highly skilled guitar players have done. So they don't know what they don't know how to play Elvis tunes. They don't know how to play Beatles tunes. They don't know what the difference between Albert King and B.B. King is, and they don't know the difference in the vibratos of those people. There's all this homework that's available, but somehow the social media makes them do a little less. And I don't really know how to get the kids to do it. Look, I taught a band once. I spent 2 years in front of the band with a cowbell, just doing this and stopping and starting the cowbell so that see if they could continue it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't teach them anything about harmony. I didn't teach them anything about melody. I only taught them about time. When they got in the studio doing their own tunes, they had no problem playing with a click track. None. Zero. And that, I think, was important. If you have somebody who knows melody and harmony, they know melody and rhythm, they work. If they know harmony and rhythm, they work. If they know melody and harmony, they don't know rhythm, they don't work. So that piece was missed in the teaching, and I don't know. I think it's extraordinarily cool, but I want the work ethic to get deep again.
Yeah.
So when I sat backstage, I saw Jeff Beck play from this far away, and what astounded me was he played 45 seconds. He went from Broadway into Jeff Beck, into jazz rock, into some sort of blues, back into jazz rock, back into Jeff Beck, back into Broadway, all in 45 seconds. He was mixing genres. Kids can't do that. The thing that was astounding me about Jeff Beck was not how good a guitar player was his musical encyclopedia, was this depth as Lake Superior. That is what I wish would come back. And this is give me 10 seconds, I want to feel good. Sometimes you got to work all week before you feel good if you want to play the game you're playing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, have you ever had a band open up and you didn't want to play afterwards because they were so good? I know that Tony had a band called AC/DC open up for him at one point. That was hard.
Yeah.
We got some new band from Australia to open up for us. Oh, look out, baby.
There was this thing too when I was young. It was put the cassette in, play it, and train the ear. Train the ear, listen to it, close your eyes, and try to experience it. And it was more of an audio. Like I was listening to this and listening to it, imagining it. Now, when you watch someone do it, it's more of a visual component, right? So you're like watching their fingers, watching that. So there's none of this. I don't want to be the old guy saying, "Oh, well, the back in the day," but there was such a beauty, and there was a drive, like hours and hours of just listening to the same solo, picking it apart. Now, when you have it on YouTube, it's just laid out for you, and you really have to have a lot of drive to do it in the old way. You had to have a lot of patience. You had to train your ear. So I think, like you said, there's pros and cons. There's it's great, but it's not so great.
Most of this gear behind me I found on the internet.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's the biggest yard sale on the planet.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great things about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things about it. So, do you have another question for me? You said
I had a few, but this one, because I have so much respect, and asking you the right questions means a lot. But just real quick, what emotion do you want someone to have when they hold a PRS guitar for the first time?
Well, it's actually simple. I'd like them to like it, and I'd like them to give it a chance. Sometimes guitars have immediate heavy impact, and you walk away long term. Sometimes it was a sleeper, and you forgot you had it, and 4 years later you needed a track, and you forgot you had it, and you're searching through all the cases, and you found this guitar, and it gave you something that you've been looking for a long time, and you kind of pissed that you didn't know it at the time. It's like when you buy a pedal. When you buy a pedal, you like it. Does it make the pedal board? Did it stay on the pedal board or did it come off the pedal board? Only 1 out of 12 pedals makes the pedal board, and 1 out of 12 of those comes off. I mean, 12
Yeah.
comes off. I want the guitar that makes the pedal board and stays.
Yeah.
That's so easy. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've never heard it put that way. It is a very highly competitive field to stay on the pedal board.
Right.
I love it.
I want to be in the boat, and I want to be number one in the boat after
Right.
a long experience period, not an instantaneous experience period. Although I've seen people fall in love with guitars and never leave them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I want the long-term experience to be good. That's what I want.
That's good. That's a good answer. What pedal stays on the pedal board no matter what?
You got to ask and one more. I like these.
No. I want to ask. I mean, now we're on the pedal board. I'm playing it by ear. So, what pedal stays on the board regardless? Nothing moves that pedal. Let's see what this is. Is that a bird? What is that?
Neutron two-knob phaser. I want you to go on your computer right now and listen to the beginning of No Quarter by Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
And you will hear this on the roads.
That's it?
My God. Have you ever heard the beginning of No Quarter?
Oh, my God. It's my favorite Zeppelin song.
Yeah. You're going to use this in every single recording session you do.
Oh, man. I got to tell Elvis about that.
Oh.
That strikes me as a pedal that's not easy to come by there.
That's really easy to come by. We got a thing called the internet. You can get one. You want a two-knob Neutron phaser. You want to see another one? You want to see
of course.
Make the board? Where's the one with the guitar knobs on it? Hold on a minute. Just hold on a second.
Okay, I see a stereo chorus.
That's an Arian. This is an Arian stereo chorus. There's no normal stereo chorus.
Okay.
And that is a waterfall. You ever played through one?
No. It sounds really familiar. What's the...
This is made by Jam Pedals, and this is made by Arion, A-R-I-O-N.
Okay. Yeah, never heard of that
This
pedal.
is the Texas Secret, and this thing's just stupid. It's an out-of-phase chorus. But hang on, I'll give you one more. Hold on.
I need to write these down. Just like get on reverb immediately.
You ever seen one of these?
Ooh. No.
Clyde McCoy was a trumpet player. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. I've never seen of that. That's where did you find this, man? That's
This was a
crazy.
present from a guy named Eric Johnson. Oh, I love the thing.
Give it to me.
I'll send it to him. You want it?
No.
But you got to send it back because it was a present. All right, I'll mail it to you. You want? This is not my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite's this one. Hold on. I'm gonna make the price of these go up on the internet.
Oh wow.
This sounds just like Hendrix.
Just like Hendrix, huh?
Uh-huh. I don't know what year, but you don't want the reissue, you want the real one.
Yeah, okay. That's why I'm just looking at all the components here.
You're making up money touring to buy one.
All right, let me see. Let me get a picture of that. I need a new wah, and that's you're digging that one. All right.
I'll buy you a wah for doing the interview.
Oh, this is great.
All right. You asked.
Thank you very much.
This has been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun for me. It's been part of my day so far. I've had a good day.
So is that an SM7 you're talking in?
Yes, it is.
So this is an SM7 capsule that I turned into a mic without all the metal crap around it. Oh, it sounds so good.
That was one thing I was surprised about by your mic collection there, and the different. You had one that was another kind of not an impersonation, but it was like another one. What? Let me see. I might even recognize it.
This? It's a Sennheiser 409 in a different body. I don't know what you're talking about. I like mics. I just don't have a lot of ones that you can buy. They're all homemade.
Yeah. You know what? This has just been great. I mean, there's nothing right now. I'll let you know, but I have so much respect. And every time I talk to you, you can almost see the wires in the way that your mind works and the way that you, so many different things and interest. And I just love being around that. You know, I need that. As the conversation that I'm having right now is going to be a little bit more interesting than I'll have with anyone else today. And that's why I love you, because there's so much. You're not just like everyone else. You got a creative mind.
Why don't you come up and play through all the pedals?
I want to. I need to.
Your bank account will be drained by the end of the day after. I guarantee you that.
That's all right. I need pedals. We're going to be going to the studio again, and Elvis is great. He's got so many different pedals laid out everywhere. Just different ones, and we just kind of throw them in. And my favorite part of recording is the pedal phase, the overdubs.
You're trying to modify a straight guitar sound, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so if you want me to lend you this Eric Johnson Clyde McCoy pedal just so you can hear it.
Oh man, you don't have to. You know what? I'll just save it for my trip up there.
Oh, shucks, Clint.
Of course, I want to use it. I'll take great care of it if you do.
All right, I'll mail you both of them so you can try them both. I want to be on the side of the stage next to the monitor mixer one day and be a fly on the wall for one of your shows. It sounds like good fun. I've never had the opportunity to do that.
I would love to have you. I'd love to be an honor. Absolutely. Right. You're a good dude, Paul. I appreciate you.
You too. See ya. Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya.